people who have joined, they are waiting. And good evening, participants. And today we started our webinar at 6 p.m. and it's a fourth Saturday of June 2020. What we thought, one, that this particular subject, maybe it is more useful for home buyers and for the builders, developers. So it was thought that everyone must have started going to offices since it's not Sunday. So we thought that people might come home at little early and can participate into this webinar. The subject is very, very interesting, and we have again like the more than 2,000 registrations. That's what gives us pleasure. And today with me, I have CA Anand Sonbadra. He's an experienced chartered accountant and insolvency professionals handling multiple assignments of real estate companies. I also have, as usual, Ankit Goyal, who is a chartered accountant, valuer, and he's also a founder of AAA Valuation Professional Entity for valuation assignments, duly registered with IBBI. So, friends, as we said that it has become our habit and we are addicted to webinars. Again, today we have a webinar. Tomorrow we have part 2 of the webinar, which was for the forensic audit under RBI guidelines as well as under IBC. So the tomorrow part at 4 o'clock would be primarily for IBC and little bit of comparison between forensic audit under RBI guidelines. Anand Sonbadra also would be sharing his experiences regarding the real estate insolvency process. I would also be sharing the experiences regarding the insolvency process of real estate companies. More than 17, 18 companies that we are handling as of now. So how many processes that we develop, how many formats that we develop, which is totally different from the other companies. Real estates are totally different. It's a totally different kind of insolvency. So Ankit, what is going to be the format again today?
We will keep the same format as we kept in all our previous webinars. We will, of course, put the PPT on. We will talk about some topics. We will have a conversation for half an hour. And then subsequently, after every half an hour, we will keep taking questions. I think we will try and take those questions which will be relevant to the discussion we have had. And otherwise, also, we will try and resolve all the questions of our participants.
Very good. So as I see, as we all understand that this real estate scenario as of today is a very, very grim. It may be home buyers or a developer, and nobody is enjoying in this market, neither the brokers, the transaction consultants, everyone is under stress. So we thought it is important that we should tell everyone what are the options available for home buyers, allottees, what are the options available for the builder, the developer, the real estate company promoters, owners. That's what is the subject today. We would be completely sharing various case laws that we have studied. And in fact, this real estate segment has got more judicial pronouncements as against any other. So we may not, again, we think that we may not be able to complete it. In fact, we have more than 100 slides and too many judicial pronouncements. Whenever we do something, we normally plan that it should be finished within 2 hours. And most of the time that we are positively failing, and why we are failing, one, that because of the interest of the participants, we get a lot of questions. We feel like answering those questions because that actually will make the webinar more interactive and more people will participate with more attention. Secondly, when we start our research, start our study, then the contents are more important. Contents becomes larger. So this time also we have researched a lot about the legal cases. So and about the options available with the home buyers and the builders. See, while we were doing this, so we kept on interacting between us. We kept on interacting with our team, and finally we have now developed a complete content, and that content may not be possible that we are able to deliver within 2 hours. So we would have part 2 also, which would start again on the next Saturday at the same time, or in case the participants would ask for a different time, then we can even think for the different time for the part 2. So with this, I think now I can open my my PPT. I can share my screen with you. So as usual, we will move on to the next slide, which is the insolvency of real estate companies. And we are very clear that this is the best option for home buyers and for developers, builders, promoters, directors, real estate companies. And there is no better option than this. If the builder has substantial resources, then of course compliance is better, and then it is a better option is that in case the builder can afford to pay all the home buyers, then of course that option is much better and much respectable. But in case the builder is not having sufficient funds to give refund to each and every allottee, then I think the insolvency is the best option. So we will first discuss what is the present position in this real estate market, what is an operational condition, and how it started. So the first and foremost present condition is that the demand in the property market is very low, and the supply is higher, and the customers are not available. Of course, whatever I'm saying, maybe some of the locations are where the market is better, because this real estate market is also location specific. You can't compare Noida and Greater Noida with Bangalore or with Hyderabad, because see, every place has got a different demand supply conditions. No appreciation in the valuations for the home buyers, for the investors, for the last, say, about 5 years. New bookings on the projects is very slow. The revenue of the builder real estate companies is very low and negligible in some cases. The brokers, the consultants, the people who are actually bringing the customers to the builders, they have changed their professions, and the investors have shifted their options. The investors are no more investors in this real estate companies, so they have moved on to other options available for them. The property prices have come to a level that the home buyers who actually had invested money long back, they are not even getting the total amount invested. What to talk about appreciation or to talk about interest, but they are not even getting the amount invested. So this scenario, when the investors are not getting even the amount invested in the flat, that scenario is very risky. Why it is risky? Because see, in case as an investor, if I have invested 40 lakhs of rupees so far, and the property which I bought for 70 lakhs is not even 70 lakh worth now. If I would be reselling that property, it would not fetch me 70 lakhs. So I would have all the intentions that in case I can get rid of this property, I can get my refund back. That would be my first option. That would be my first choice. That seriousness, that's where this particular scenario becomes very serious for builder, for developer. The investors who have their sole objective of taking profit and exiting, they are not able to exit from the transactions because there is no resale transaction in the real estate market. So in such scenario, it's a very big trust deficit which is developed between the home buyers, builder, developer, real estate companies, bankers, land development authorities, government authorities. So there is a big trust deficit which has been developed. Because of this trust deficit, because of the kind of uncertainty about the timing of the possession or even the whenever the resale would be open, that kind of uncertainty, so that the home buyers, even if the construction is construction is now taken off and it is scheduled to be completed maybe with some delay, but they are not making payment. So that's the result of the trust deficit amongst the stakeholders. So whenever there is a trust deficit, even if the even if the bank facilities are sanctioned by the bankers, they would not even release further because of the various factors of non-compliances. I would actually come to see, because I've studied this industry, how it has happened. The construction at the project normally comes to a standstill, or it might even be very, very slow. And they see there'll be inordinate delay in handing over the possession. And in some cases, even if the possession has been given, the titles are not getting transferred because of the various conditions of bankers and various conditions of other agencies. So homebuyers in the process, homebuyers are not even getting the disbursement of their loans, which they had got sanctioned from banks and partly disbursed. Because the banks are saying that the project is delayed and the uncertainty in the possession is there. Already there are defaults by the builder in other banks. So with that particular reason, the banks are not even disbursing the sanctioned loans. Therefore, the real estate companies which has taken loan from the banks, they have defaulted, and the builders, the developers have defaulted in their payment for the land development charges, external development charges, the installments of a lease premium which is supposed to be given to the land development agencies, the CLU charges in case there are some pending, then the town and country planning charges or the fees. So they also started defaulting on that. The license fee is also being defaulted. The all this finally what it leads to, a kind of forming into some groups of home buyers, some associations, and then they start acting against the promoters, and then they start filing their criminal cases with the consumer courts, or they will go to RERA, or they will go to insolvency and bankruptcy court. They can file even police complaints, criminal complaints, the economic offense wing of state police. They will also file the check bouncing cases. So you see, you probably see that the entire the mess is actually increasing. The moment I'm saying, as I'm speaking, the scenario which started with a little bit of demand deficiency has now gone on to kind of the bigger stress for the builder, with the police complaints and economic offense wings and the check bouncing cases, and the by even in some cases even the license has been cancelled, license to construct has been cancelled, the project has been cancelled by RERA. The some of the land development agencies like Noida or Greater Noida Authority, they have even cancelled the leasehold allotment of lands on account of non-payment or delayed payment or delayed implementation of the project. Occupation certificate is not being issued. The builder is not able to offer possession even for completed towers, because the occupation certificate is not given. The builder would not be able to give possession to the occupier to the allottees because of the risk. The building is not even ready to be occupied. The occupation certificate is not there. Maybe it is available. Every utilities are available in couple of towers, but the rest of the project is not complete. So the completion certificate is not given, or it is withheld by the agencies. Then, like in case it leads to various statutory non-compliances, the tax dues would have been pending by now, service tax, TDS, PF, ESI. So then there's a default from every side is coming. The bankers are not providing NOC for transfer of title as their loan is outstanding. Even if some of the home buyers are living in their home because the possession was given to them, but the title is not being transferred to them. So all this scenario, because like I'm trying to tell you what exactly is this scenario and how it has actually started. They started with some kind of a lower demand, no appreciation. So the banks will also threaten the developers that they would declare the loan as a willful default. They would declare the loan as a fraud loan, and they will also file the CBI complaint. So the some of the promoters are absconding because of some of the police complaints, because of some of the EOW complaints that the home buyers have filed. And see, you try to understand what exactly I'm trying to say. I'm saying the home buyers are not comfortable and the builders are not comfortable. This scenario has developed into such a chaos that both are suffering. Both are suffering because now, like when both are suffering, Now let me actually say the reasons for the present condition. Reason for the present condition. One reason that is very, very clear is that there is a lower demand in the market and no appreciation. Lower demand and no appreciation is one reason that I've already said. Now the other reasons are also there, and now those other reasons are which are somehow pertaining to the some wrong decisions taken by the developers. And one very, very important wrong decision, very, very usual wrong decision that has been taken by the builders is the overambitious thoughts, where the overambitious promoters and builders are diverting funds to new projects or acquisition of new land, where the at new locations, anticipating that the fresh booking will come and they will have multiple projects at one point of time, and the revenue would be coming and they would be making more profits. So whatever contribution was coming from the home buyers for the existing project, for the construction of the existing project, that was diverted to expand the operations of the company into different projects, different cities. Then the other kind of diversions has also been seen in various cases, where the some kind of cash is required at times for purchase of land, for allotment of land from the land development agencies. Some cash is also required from the conversion of land use authorities, approval of plan, other licenses. So when we see balance sheets of various real estate companies, so we find at times that a lot of bank money has been diverted to some companies. And when we try to understand from them, so then it is told to us by the promoters that this is the money that they spent in cash by just giving checks to someone, to some kind of companies which are operating in India as an entry companies, as a kind of manipulation companies. So they would take check and give cash to the builder, and that cash would be utilized for various purposes as I listed. So those are also some of the diversion which has taken place in the balance sheets of various builders. So when the booking is not coming, the new projects are not taking off, and the promoters would go to the banks for loan. They would even pledge the entire property, entire land, entire construction, and also give their collateral securities which are not even owned by the company or even owned by the company, both kind of. So the company now is incurring the interest cost also, which otherwise that would have been managed by way of contribution from the home buyers. Then the builders resorted to the fake booking, which is called profile funding. There has been so many brokers in the market. They were actually managing, and they were arranging profile funding for the builders. They would catch hold of people having salary of 30, 40, 50,000 rupees, and they will catch hold to them from some of the Naukri kind of websites. They will offer them some incentive, and those people will take loan in their own name and will book the flat with the builder. So whatever loan has actually been taken by that profile funder, that would become some kind of source of revenue for the builder for the purpose of the construction. However, the builder has committed to this profile funder that the installments would be paid by the builder, at least till the time the possession is given to the profile funder. So in case the builder is able to give the installments, is okay, but in case the builder is not able to give the installments, still the builder is enjoying that funding, which has been like complete full money, or 70% money, or 90% of the cost of the flat has actually been given to the builder by way of profile funding. Then the builders were launching subvention schemes where the EMI would be paid by the builder. The subvention scheme where the interest is being paid by the home buyer, and then the builder is paying the installment. That's called the subvention scheme. Then the builders resorted to offering huge discounts to those people who are paying upfront the entire cost or substantial cost. Then unrealistic promises were being made regarding utilities, regarding some accessories, some fixtures, some facilities. So those promises are also heavy on the builders. Then they started giving very heavy commissions to brokers. Then the In the meantime, the construction cost also gone high because of the delay in implementation of the project. See, all this led to further financial stress on the builders. The profitability came under pressure, the market price of the property reduced, the expenditures got high, the interest cost was being added. So everything somehow accumulated to a pressure. Everything got accumulated to pressure, and that pressure was huge. Then the creditors, the home buyers, they started taking they started putting pressures on the builder, and they started threatening about the criminal action, the social pressures. Some government authorities normally are being used for putting pressures on the builders. So because of these pressures, the builders further committed some crimes, further committed some offenses, and those offenses were, they were accepting cash against the bookings, and they were booking the properties at a very, very less price. Like the earlier the booking was done for 4,000 rupees a square feet, and the builder did the booking for 2,000, and the rest of the 2,000 was taken in cash because he needed cash for various other liabilities. Then the desperate action by the bank, by the builder, that led to, because some customer came and he's not having an inventory, so he actually started doing multiple booking on those towers which are completely constructed only to give a comfort to the prospective buyer that this is already constructed, so you can book on this. So we have seen multiple booking on the same flat. So, and that's also they have actually sold the flats even more than the inventory in some cases. Then the builders saw the pressure from the goods people who actually supplied goods to the company. Then their pressure was also circumvented by just giving them some builder buyer agreement, and by entering into some agreement with them for allotment of flats or for allotment of plots. That is also done by the builders. Then the people who actually had given loan to builder, unsecured loan with an interest which may be very heavy, that also got somehow, when the pressure was there on the builder also converted that part into into a builder buyer agreement. So they converted, and they also offered them homes, they also offered them flats just to circumvent the pressure. Then they started offering collateral securities of the flats to the unsecured financial creditors. So all this leads to various economic offenses which the builders had been doing only because they were trying to manage the financial stress. Then people started going to RERA. The home buyers started going to consumer courts. The home buyers also started going to some kind of an arbitration activities. All this led to some people taking some refund orders from the authorities like RERA, like Consumer Court, State Consumer Commission, the NCRDC. All this is basically putting some pressures on the builder, and the builder is not able to pay or honor those kind of refund orders which has been taken from the RERA or from the Consumer Court. So we have seen many home buyers, they are sitting with that order in their hand, where it is clearly written that the builder is supposed to give this person complete amount paid by him along with the interest at so and so rate. So when the order was taken, it was for home buyer, it was a very, very happy day that we have obtained an order from RERA, or we have obtained an order from NCRDC. And finally he came to the reality only when he actually started the kind of implementation of that order. So he went to the builder, and the builder said that I don't have money. So what are the options now? I got an order from the RERA, I got an order from the Consumer Court, but I have gone to the builder. Builder says I don't have money. I can't pay you because there is no money available. So is to try to understand that these orders that was available with the home buyers, those actually became useless because the builders say that I don't have any money. And now what are the options available? Go back to RERA, and the RERA will say that I can put penalty on the builder. So the RERA has the power to put penalty on the builder, and the RERA also has power to start some prosecution on the builder. See, when prosecution is to be started, it actually is a long drawn the court cases for the criminal offenses in India, everywhere rather. So in some cases, we have also seen that the builders started giving possessions to home buyers desperately, because what was written in the possession letter, that I am giving it for fitments. Without even obtaining occupation certificate from the authorities, the builders started offering the possessions by just writing that this is for fitments. Now even the home buyers also started staying there or just blocked it, and some people have even given it on rent. However, there is no occupation certificate available with the builder, and then the builders also tried to circumvent some of the pressure that then those allottees who are there in different towers where the construction is at a very initial stages, they were shifted to those towers where the construction is almost complete. So those kind of things were also being done by the builders to to some kind of to circumvent some kind of pressures from various circles. Then when they saw that now the reputation of the builder is now kind of spoiled, and the builder would not be able to take up further project because of the various other unsatisfied home buyers, then the builders started selling FSI. The builders started selling FSI because in that manner the builder in fact uh, uh, entered into contract with another builder that these 4 towers you build and you sell, you only give me this much. So that's called sale of FSI, because my name, I would not be able to get booking, I would not be able to sell my inventory, so it is given to somebody else as FSI sale or as FAR sale. That was also called a joint development agreement, where the landowner or the licensee is entering with some other person for development of that towers and sale of those towers. In such cases, the landowners and the builders both entered into a joint development agreement, and they started booking flats and homes as per their own share, and the home buyers bought from the landowners also, home buyers bought from the developers also, because both of them had right in the tower for some sellable area. And now both home buyers are stuck up. Both had different companies, and both have actually given money to different companies, whereas the project is one. So the project is one, but there are 2 people. One is the owner of the land and the other is the builder. So both are booking the flats. That also is actually leading to a very big stress. Now with this scenario, I have come to a situation that actually what is the present situation in the real estate market, how it started, how the promoters made mistakes, and the intention with the inappropriate attention or not. I'm not commenting on that, but yes, they did certain things like multiple bookings, taking more loans, like the kind of profile funding and the subvention schemes, and shifting from like one tower to other towers, various like booking undervaluations where the most of cash was taken and then the flat agreement was signed. All this was done by the builders, and now everything is in mess. Everything is stuck up. The builders, the home buyers are not able to do anything. The builders are not able to do anything. There is no trust between them. The bankers are stuck up, and the land development agencies are stuck up. Now let us understand what are the options available with the builders first. Then we'll come to the options available with the builders options available with the home buyers. So at this level, I would say what are the options available with the promoters, builders, and real estate companies. One option is if the project can be completed, and that is possible in case where the project is substantially completed and the builder is still having some funds. The first option with the developer is that to complete the project as early as possible and offer the possession. So that is the first option, which is the best option. Beg, borrow, steal, take some money, put that money very fast into the project, complete the construction of those few towers and also the exteriors. Maybe there are some towers are kept pending, but that in case you are able to complete, then you can offer possession immediately. And once the possession is offered, then the default by the builder is not much, it is reduced to a great extent, then the only thing which is left is that the interest or compensation for the delayed period. That is very, very softer claim, and that's not something which is very well being accepted by the authorities or the courts. Once the possession is offered, the pending matters with the RERA would be only the interest on the delayed part. Then the next possible option is that in case there is any litigant buyer, any litigant allottee or home buyer, try to settle with them and keep paying them or keep offering them some other locations or other completed project, so that nobody is able to take the company to RERA or insolvency or to criminal courts. So that's the third option. In case the builder will start giving the refund, in case the builder will start giving the refund to home buyers, then the home buyers will make a beeline, and then the builder will have to pay to every month till he finishes his money flow. That is the reason some of the builders still have money, but they are not going ahead in honoring the orders of RERA or consumer courts. Because taking orders from RERA and consumer courts is very easy. In case the builder will give one person money as per the order, which is the basic money paid plus interest, and for example, the 50 lakhs was paid and the 70 lakhs is now the order amount, and if the 70 lakhs is given to that home buyer, then no home buyer would be interested in possession, because the 70 lakhs is not even the price of the property. The price of the property is even less than the amount invested. So in case any builder will give that 70,000 rupees as an illustration to any home buyer, then all the home buyers will make a beeline either in the consumer court or in RERA. So everyone will apply and everyone will ask for the refund. Then the builder will keep struggling for the litigation, maybe civil, criminal, till the time he finishes with the total money that he has. So that's something which is not really a very kind of possible option available with the builders. The builder will continuously fight with the law enforcement agencies, RERA, income tax, service tax, GST, for the recovery of their dues, and they will also start attachment of the assets. The bank will start taking action under SARFAESI, and they might even file suit before DRT under the Recovery and Debt and Bankruptcy Act, and also they can enforce their personal guarantees. So all those banks or NBFCs who had given loans to the home buyers who are not getting the possession, those banks will also start claiming their money from the developer, because of the tripartite agreement which was signed. Mostly in various cases, the tripartite agreement was signed by the builder, the bank, and the home buyer, that in case the home buyer would not pay, or in case the home buyer would make a default, then the builder would be having a responsibility to give possession to bank rather to the buyer. So this process that I said, so this was the kind of scenario, and these are the options available with the promoters. So before I shift to the options available with the home buyers, I would actually see, in case Mr. Anand Sonbhadra or Ankit can see, in case there are questions, so we can take up the questions. As normally we say that we'll take questions every 30 minutes. So we are taking the questions every 30 minutes now. In case there are some questions, please.
So like Mr. KV Halappa, he has a question on GDA, and he says that how will the resolution professional deal with such a joint development project land, where land owner is different from that of the developer, and is there a provision to take over third party land under IBC to help the home buyers who book flats under the GDA project?
Now, see, whenever we talk about the joint development agreement, that means that we have a development right on that land, and that agreement must be valid. It must not be cancelled. So first of all, we have to see the agreement, the joint development agreement. Is there any clause for cancellation? Is there any clause for termination? Or what are the circumstances that the landowner can terminate?
So even further, I would like to say that there are different. So JDA will not always give powers to both the parties to book flats. In many cases, the landowner is only basically supplying the land to the developer for consideration, which is perhaps receivable after the building is completed or after the construction is, after the development is complete. So in those cases, perhaps the landowner who has given that JDA or entered into JDA with the developer will only be an operational creditor.
Certainly, the see the transaction, the nature of the transaction, because this is a very important question, and the most of, and in fact, in various cities, the kind of problem is very big. Let us understand the transaction. The transaction is that the one person is the owner of the land, and he doesn't have the capacity to construct. So he actually approaches a builder that you give your brand also, and you enter into a joint development agreement. So you would take the licenses, you would construct, you would invest, you would sell, you would spend on the marketing, and you would sell on the administration. However, as against this land, I will not take any money from you, but you give me 20% of the total sellable area, which I would sell or you can sell. That is the different agreement that we have found. So once this joint development agreement is entered into, and that joint development agreement normally should have the clauses of cancellation, termination in case the builder fails to do something. But then in case this is something like this, then of course this becomes terminated and becomes a very big litigation is started. So the landowner will also start booking their flats. They will also have home buyers, and the builder also will have home buyers based on the joint development agreement. After the license is given, or even before the license also, the people started booking. See, with this scenario now, we have one landowner, one builder who has a right to construct, right to develop the project, and then we have home buyers in both the companies. So the construction rights, the contractual rights that is available with the builder, that will be used by the RP to complete the project. RP would be able to complete the project. RP would be able to take a resolution plan, and RP would be able to complete an information memorandum. Instead of writing land, the RP will simply write contractual rights in the land, construction rights in the property. So this is very possible to take up the insolvency of such cases, and the RP will have all the rights to enforce that joint development agreement, complete the project, hand it over to another builder, and the home buyers will get the possession. Yes, Ankit.
So there are a lot of questions. Let me try and find out one that is whether landowner would be OC if he has a share in sale proceeds, whether he will still be OC. Then there was a question if government supplier of land will be an OC or a FC.
I think this is a very important question, and since the CA Anand Sonbhadra is attending to his own case, and I think he would be answering this question because he would have all the facts quickly ready with him. Anandji, because he thought the question is coming from whether this, when the land development agency would be an operational credit or not. I would actually, you can refer to the case that you have won from NCLT.
Sure. And I would simply say that from the very basic, what one has to look at is the basic agreement that any land agency executes. So wherever it is a freehold land, which means the land has been bought, then the ownership of the land lies with the builder or the company. In that case, there can't be any claim except for external development or any development charges that the land agency levies. Those charges that a land agency levies is truly service in nature, and that should be an operational debt. Coming to the lease agreement, and there is a lot of fight, a lot of controversy which has been going on, where the land agency gives you a leased land, or what the company acquires is only a leasehold right. The land remains with the. So one should look at the lease agreement, and from our experience, what I've come across is most of these lease agreements are has to be looked at from accounting standard 116 point of view, because if you look at the definition of 58F, it says if you have to decide any lease agreement between a financial lease agreement or not, if it is a finance lease, then it becomes a financial creditor. If it is not a finance lease, it is not, it's an operational or any other creditor. So under 58, the lease referred is the Indian accounting standard, and the Indian accounting standard is 116. This is only for information. To put it in simple terms, what does it say is that the risk and reward, substantial risk and reward should be passed on. And if that is not happening, I will not prolong the answer by going into details of the accounting standard. But to put it very simple terms, the land remains with the land agency. The second is there is no cancellation right to the lessee, which is the company. It does not have an automatic right to renew the lease also. The life of the lease is insignificant compared to the life of the land, which is almost infinite. Looking at these, most of the land agencies would be operational creditor. And this is the line of argument that we had in a case, and NCLT has ordered in our favor. This is a case called in the CP of Shubkamna Concord Infrastructure versus Shubkamna Buildtech Private Limited, and the CA is Noida Land Authorities versus Anand Sonbhadra. This is the case. Of course, when we go ahead in the presentation, further details will be shared with you. But to make the story short, basically, leasehold lands, from the experience that we have of looking at different kind of lease agreements, most of it would be operational creditor. Anilji, you're mute.
So, see, thank you, Anandji. There is another part of this question which I would be answering. And that question is, in case the landowners enters into a joint development agreement with the developer, and the landowner says, for illustration, that the 20% of the sellable area would be given to him, would that be an operational creditor or something else? Certainly, the landowner will be an operational creditor, because the transaction between the corporate debtor and the landowner is that the landowner has supplied the rights to construct. The landowners have supplied right to construct the land against a consideration. So that's a supply, and whatever money or whatever contractual obligations are pending, the claim would be received from the landowners and they would be considered as operational creditors. Ankit, you can read the next questions, or Anandji, you can also see in case there are questions which are relevant to this part of the presentation.
So next question is next question that I would like to put up, that is a common question from a lot of people, is that there might be a mixture of projects within the same company. So, you might be 16 good projects, 40 bad projects, or something the opposite. So what is the stand and what is the experience with respect to insolvency of specific projects? Or do we think that the whole company needs to be looked at together?
I think there has been 3 or 4 instances where the NCLT and NCLAT has passed the orders where the insolvency would be restricted to only those projects where the default has occurred. and all those projects where the default has not occurred would not be part of the CIRP process. And it has been very well established now that the entire company, unless the entire company is defaulting, would not go into the insolvency. Otherwise, it would have become complete chaos, because there are projects which are on time, and those home buyers also would suffer, and they would also stop making payment, and their construction will also be stopped. So that's a very, very important and good orders which has been, and clarifications given by the court, NCLT and NCLAT. And I think the one order that I remember is unsell properties, where it has been ordered that it will be only the only one project where the default is that the CIRP would be restricted to that project. So this is now becoming common. So I don't think there is any other clarification required in this case. So, but then at the time of filing of this application for initiation of CIRP, it is not possible for the adjudicating authority to understand whether it will be project CIRP or the company CIRP. Only after that they can that's something which actually has to be seen. But so far there has been orders, about 3 or 4 orders, where the project-wise CIRP should be conducted. Yes, Ankit.
Next question that we can take is with respect to the whether we call it loans taken by home loans taken by the home buyers. How do we treat them? What is their treatment in the whole insolvency process of the CD? And how do we talk about? So these are popularly called subvention schemes.
See, one is the home buyers who have taken loan from banks. So in case they are making payments to those banks, even if they have not got the possession of their property, I think they are not in question. They would keep on paying the installments, and they would keep on paying the interest, and the bank is comfortable. Even if the possession is delayed, bank is comfortable because the bank is getting the repayment and the loan is standard. In those cases where because the possession has not been given to the home buyer has defaulted in the making payment of the interest and installments to the bank, then in those cases it depends upon whether there is a tripartite agreement between the company and the bank and the home buyers or not. In most of the cases in the recent past, we have seen that the bankers, before they enter into any home loan transaction, they see whether there is a possibility of entering into a kind of agreement with the builder, that the builder should also take some responsibility in case there is a default. So the responsibility mostly the builders are taking, that they would they would undertake to the bank that in case of default by the home buyer, the possession of the property would be given to the bank and not to the home buyer, and the interest which the bank would be getting on this loan would also be taken from the margin money given by the home buyer. So in that case, the home buyer will lose money, whatever is being given to the home builder, but the banks will get the possession as well as interest partially from the builder. They are filing their claims to the CIRP also, because they have a right, rather they have stepped into the shoes of home buyer as a lender, and they are having the right to take the possession and title of the property. So they are filing their claims, and we are also admitting them in case the home buyers are defaulting. So this is the answer to this question.
Then we can resume for a while. There are few people who are saying that they had emailed their questions. So any questions on email that you would like to answer right now? Any relevant question?
Actually, like the question which has come on email, I think those are kind of different case studies. Those emails are very, very large, and those are specific questions that may be related to their own case. I would like to answer the questions which are general in nature, because we have too many people connected with us. So any kind of specific question which is not regularly seen in the market, that I can separately answer over phone with any of the person. So I think we can move on.
One of the questions that came in, I think we can answer this earlier, is that can the RWA or the buyer association be allowed to be constructed by, can be allowed to construct and complete the project And is there any successful project where such a handover to the association or has been done, or what is the stage of that handover? This is a question from Mr. Suresh Menon.
I think this is a very, very important question. And in fact, we have been trying right from the beginning of the real estate companies. We have been always telling the RWA or the Association of the Home Buyers to make your own resolution plan and submit. And if it is not possible to take over the company because of your own preoccupation, then you would actually be working as a competitor to the builder, and you would actually be extracting the best deal from the builder. So in our case, in most of our cases, the builders and the home buyers and the associations of the home buyers are also submitting their resolution plans. So certainly yes, and they can submit a resolution plan. They can take over the company, and after taking over the company, they can appoint a builder, they can appoint a contractor, they can appoint a project management consultant, they can appoint an architect, and they can do a supervisory role. As we have seen in Delhi, there are a lot of buildings have been constructed by a cooperative society, kind of organization. The cooperative society kind of construction activities are popular, and it can be managed, and it has been done in this country in a very, very regular manner. So then this company will become kind of managed by the same home buyers who have interest in this project. That's practically possible. I think we can move on to so Anandji, I think you can now talk about what are the options available with the home buyers, allottees.
I'll just
rather than changing the sheet, I can you just let me, you can just tell me when to go to the next slide. So I will just move on. You please start the options available with the home buyers.
Sure. Thanks, Anilji. So having heard from him, what is this current status in the real estate markets and how the things that we see from our experience, what is that which is causing it to happen? And what are the options that are available to builders so far? Now coming to what are the options that is available to home buyer who have invested their money maybe 6 years, 7 years, 10 years back, and their hard-earned money, they haven't got any of their possessions. So what are the options? What we have done is we have listed out a couple of options that is available, and a plethora of them. One is under the real estate regulation, what we know as RERA. The second is under Consumer Protection Act of 1986. Third could be a Arbitration and Reconciliations Act. Under that, one can also go to Competition Commission of India under specific circumstances. Of course, the civil remedy is always available, and in case if there is a breach of trust or cheating, criminal cases remedy, and last but not the least, I think the most important one under the current circumstances would be taking the route to insolvency and bankruptcy code. Next. Now let's look at RERA. The whole purpose of this act was very much with the purpose of real estate sector. It was for promotion of real estate sector. It was to ensure that the regulation of that sector happens in a more processed, in a more regulated manner, so that the sale and the construction, etc., happens in an efficient and transparent manner, and to protect the interests of the consumer in that sector. And of course, also to establish an adjudication mechanism for any dispute redressal. Now let's, next, Anil.
Yes, please.
Now let's look at, I have chosen two particular definition, and I want to spend few seconds of a minute on that, because what we read here is also important when we go to insolvency. So, go back to the definition. So in the RERA, allottee in real estate project means person to whom a plot, apartment or building, as the case may be, has been allotted, sold or otherwise transferred by the promoter includes a person who subsequently acquired allotment through sale, which means any person, an ordinary person who has gone to a real estate project to whom either an apartment or a building or a plot, as the case may be, has been sold or allotted for future payments or immediate payment, and it is promised to be transferred. It also includes a resale case from one allottee to another. So anybody with this kind of a situation is termed as allottee. I've tried to, simplify this. And we have seen in the definition of allottee a word apartment. Now, this is important to understand. Usually people tend to get confused. Oh, home buyers. Home buyers means only people who have bought property in a residential society or a residential building. No. The answer is partially correct, but an allottee or home buyer definition that we loosely talk about, allottee being the legal definition, home buyer is a loose connotation that we use, applies to all kind. And if you look at apartment, whether it's a block, chamber, dwelling unit, office, showroom, shop, godown, premises, suite, tenement, by any other name that you call, it means if it's a separate self-contained unit or a part of it in a building or a plot of land to be used for any residential or commercial purposes, then it is an apartment, and an allottee or buyer of that is a home buyer, loosely called as a home buyer. So allottee includes residential, commercial, all kind of properties. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah.
Now, as an allottee, let's quickly look at what are the rights you have. Under RERA, there are a lot of obligations which are pushed upon the promoter of the project, and where he has to share a lot of information, he has to do a lot of things. And as a consequences of those compliance, a lot of rights come to the hand of allottee. One is, it gives you an entitlement to receive information on all part of it, whether it's a sanction plan, layout, specific approval by authorities, you can ask for it and you should be able to get it, the information. Also information relating to the time schedule of completion of the project. You can look at specific when the utilities will be completed, what time, when which tower will be completed, when electricity will be given, when water connection will come. All those timelines, you can ask for it and you should be able to get. Of course, the most important is to entitlement to claim possession of the apartment plot. And if that is not being given to you or the allottees, then you have a right to refund along with interest. Also, if you look at RERA enactment, the transfer of title as per RERA can happen with two actions. One is offering physical possession of the premise or the unit that has been sold to you or to the home buyers, and that has to be supplemented with a conveyance deed, duly registered conveyance deed relating to that. So you get a right to get a conveyance deed relating to your specific unit along with the common areas. Whether the right of the common area goes to the RWO or comes to you depends on the building or the property. And in case if the developer does not comply with this, he may be imposed a penalty to the extent of 5% of the estimated project cost, which is severe. Let's look at some of the duties of the allottee. As an allottee, of course, you need to make payment as per the agreement and the timeline specified therein. And in case if there are interest prescribed in the agreement for delays, that needs to be done. Also, one important aspect is the home buyers or the allottees shall participate toward formation of the association, because most of the, if you look at the nature of real estate properties, today is by company, but that suit that the company is wearing as the owner of the property till the construction happens has to be taken off. It has to pass on to the unit buyers. Once the properties get registered in individual name, then the maintenance and management of whole property has to pass on to the hands of the people who are living there or people who own it. And from that perspective, it is important under RERA for each allottee to participate and form an association so that the right of the common areas as well as the right to maintain passes on to uh, the association. Now, couple of landmark judgments which has happened. Of course, the first one being Neil Kamal Realtor versus Union of India. I will not go into detail of it because it only says that the Bombay High Court uphold the validity. Somebody challenged the validity of RERA's enactment, whether it's constitutionally valid or not. And Bombay High Court has upheld the validity of RERA enactment. The next two cases are basically under RERA. All new projects have to compulsorily register and follow the rules and regulations of RERA. But what happens to the projects which were under development? So what it says, in case if a project has not got a completion certificate, which means it has not made, it is not in a position to make possession offer to its buyer, then those projects also needs to be covered. And the next two cases, Magic Eye Developer versus Yogesh Tomar and Omax Limited versus Arun Prabha, deals with that the old sorry, the old agreement which were signed prior to RERA enactment are also valid. And in case if the old agreement is heavily one-sided, then that agreement is not enforceable. I mean, the next one. Now,
So I think, Anandji, this is a very, very important part of the RERA that let us even try to completely briefly tell our participants that RERA gives you some rights and some obligations. And then the most important right which has been mentioned in RERA is that you can claim refund along with the interest. And that's what is the that's what we are talking about now. So I'm only talking about something that you have got the order and order in hand from the RERA court, and you are now trying to enforce the order of RERA. So you actually go to the builder and the builder says that I don't have money. So that actually would not work. Then you go back to RERA and you tell that the builder is not giving the refund, and the RERA has the power to cancel the project. So once the project is cancelled, still who is the sufferer? Then the home buyer as well as the builder both are suffering in case the project is cancelled. The refund orders, see, some of the builders may have the money, but in case they honor the refund order, then probably everyone will make a beeline outside the gate of the RERA and everyone would like to take refund. And the reason is that the home buyers are not getting better prices than the amount which is being offered by RERA. So that's not possible that the RERA amount is being honored or it is being enforced. Even if the criminal actions are taken by the RERA, that actually will give no benefit to the home buyer, and the criminal action will take lot many years in the court before anyone is under pressure. So it is only possible. The RERA is effective against the solvent. The RERA is effective against the solvent builders. It is not effective against those builders who doesn't have money or who doesn't want to pay money to the home buyers. So yes, we can actually say conclude that the RERA is something which is not helping home buyer. It is only helping those home buyers who have booked plots, flats with a builder who actually has got a very big setup and he would not like to get his reputation spoiled. So those kind of builders will definitely try to settle with someone who actually approaches RERA. But those builders who have almost surrendered because of this scenario, they would not be able to give any benefit. See, I think Anandji, you can even see the other options available in the various other acts.
Quickly moving to Consumer Protection Act also. Here also, there are different levels: district level, state commission. For any amount from 20 lakhs to more than 1 crore can be filed at different. But an application at district level is 20 lakhs, state commission up to 1 crore, and national commission is 1 crore and above. But here also, just like RERA, refund order can be obtained against the promoters or against the director of the company. And we would come to the same situation as RERA. If the builder is solvent, then homebuyer is able to get a solution. If the builder is not solvent, then it's very difficult to get any solution. The execution of that decree or order becomes very difficult. Let's move to the next one. We have seen in some of the builder-buyer agreement, there is an arbitration clause. And usually what we have witnessed is or what we have come to know is that the builder invokes this and an arbitrator is appointed. But what we have heard and seen is many a times the arbitration proceeding is conducted in a biased manner, and home buyers, most of them, wherever it has happened, they would tell you that they were not happy with the result. So this does not give you much of a solace, but this is one of the methods if you're strong enough to deal with it. Next one. Now, in certain circumstances, you can always make a complaint to Competition Commission if that particular builder is in a very dominant position. It happens to one of the biggest builders in the country or in a state, has extensive project network, and it's in a dominant position, and it has misused its dominant position, and that has caused disadvantage to the buyer. Then a complaint can be filed before CCI against that builder for abuse of dominant position. And of course, after investigation, if it is found out that the builder has been guilty of any such anti-competitive practice, then he would be levied with huge penalties by CCI. But this would apply to only very few cases. Of course, we can go look at a civil recovery under the breach of agreement because there is no fulfillment of agreed obligation. The buyer can always go to the civil court and file a civil suit for recovery and claim money and interest. However, as we know, this is an option which takes a long time to very long duration. So I don't know, while it's an option, but how many of home buyer would like to opt for this is a question. The last one is a criminal case. So we have seen it also, and it's possible that under the Indian Penal Code, a buyer can file a criminal complaint for cheating against the builder, or they can lodge a complaint against EOW and approach criminal courts also. This works well if the builder, if there is a NBW which is issued against the builder, and the builder has the money and capability where he wants to settle down. He wants to settle with you, then it works well. Otherwise, the investigation continues, then a charge sheet is filed, and then it continues. So the filing of criminal case, of course, where you've seen siphoning of money, where you've seen he's cheated you completely, yes, the case has to be filed. But if the money is not there with the builder, this may give you, this may not be a faster remedy. It gives you protection to the extent that you have filed a case against criminal, and a criminal case would be pursued against us. But when that money will be recovered, when the builder will be caught, when the money will be recovered in case it is embezzled something, is a long drawn process. Next one.
Thank you, Anandji. Thank you very much. So we have seen the options available with the builders, developers, that they can even continue to, they can fast complete the project, or they can continuously struggle with the civil and criminal cases, or they can live in stress life. And then the home buyers are also have seen that what are the options available. Even if they get the refund order, they would not be able to finally take the property in possession, because till the time this trust factor is brought back, till the time somebody will break the ice so that all the stakeholders sit together and find a solution, then only the solution would be found. So the insolvency law is such a law where all the stakeholders, like the promoters, the bankers, the land development agencies, the market creditors, the home buyers, they all sit together and they try to find a solution. And this law is presently the only option available for the builders as well as for the home buyers. We have also seen in recently, after this amendment in the MSME definition, and where the definition of the MSME has been increased with regard to the investment in plant and machinery to the extent of 50 crores, and with regard to the turnover in the last year is 250 crores. So many the developer companies, many real estate companies has now come under the MSME definition, and I have seen even the RPs are even making an application to for the registration of the company as MSME, and the builders are also coming forward to submit a resolution plan. So in fact, it's a very, very important one case that we have seen in the NCLT, where this is where the reverse auction has actually, the reverse insolvency was kind of done. The name reverse is not really appropriate, but what exactly was done, that the NCLT, when it was appealed to the NCLAT said that the builder would further invest in the company to finish the project, and whatever the builder is investing now to finish the project, that would be considered as an interim finance. The builder will work with the RP will monitor the operations, and in case it is done, in case the possessions are given to all those people, then it can be the end of the CIRP period. So that kind of scenario was also ordered, which is a very, very welcome kind of a scene, where the builders also can come and they can complete the project under the complete protection of moratorium, and under the complete protection of their own money which is being invested in the project, and under the complete consultation with all the stakeholders, so that everyone can take a haircut depending upon the assets available with the company. So Ankit, in case you have some questions, so that I actually can start the insolvency process for real estate companies. See, like what we are trying to do is that we are not going through the detailed insolvency law for making application. We are only restricting ourselves to the real estate companies' deliberations. So Ankit, we can take some questions.
So there are some questions. There's some questions on reverse CIRP. Now
that's what I said. Reverse CIRP is what exactly. This is what I said. The reverse CIRP is one case. I will actually come to the name. Maybe Anandji would have. Do you recall that
this
name?
Is Flat Buyer Association of.
Okay, then we have that in our
Umang Realtek versus Flat Buyer Association.
Yeah, Umang Realtek. Umang Realtek case, the
windmills.
This was argued before the bench that the project is almost at the last stage of completion, and the promoter was arguing that he can complete the project, but he needs the protection. So NCLT or NCLAT, I think it's an NCLAT judgment, gave the protection to the promoter, said that you invest in the project for completion, and once the completion is done, the project is handed over, and then we will decide the next part of it. So that's where the primary focus was given to the completion of the project, handing over possession to the home buyers, and then the rest of the matters would be decided. Then the unsold inventory would be seen, and it was also allowed that the unsold inventory would be sold during CIRP under the supervision of RP and in the active participation of the promoters of the company. So this is considered that the promoters himself is completing the project by investing further money, which is protected under the CIRP cost as an interim finance. Promoter is further protected from the various coercive actions by the creditors. Commonly, everyone is sitting to resolve the case, and that's a good way of completion of the project, and that too at a faster speed. Yes, Ankit.
So I think
Anandji, you can also see in case there is an important
I'm just
question that you
looking
could
at.
see.
there are some questions on related parties. So like what is the capacity of related party? Can they be members of committee of creditors? And there might be some examples where the CD or some related party of the CD is a member of the COC, and they're not allowing the home buyers to take decisions. So there are some questions on this kind of a scenario.
No, if a party, if a claimant is a related party to the corporate debtor, then that claimant would not have any voting power, or they would not become members of the committee of creditors. That's well settled. So the RP has a duty to find out related parties and uh, do not make them as part of the committee of creditors, and do not give them any right to vote. That's the duty of the RP. So it's a very, very settled law. So this question is only, I think the question that the querist is difficulty, the querist is feeling is the identification of the related party. So the identification of the related party is only possible in case we dig into the facts and the comprehension of that particular claimant, the number, who are the directors, who are the shareholders, who is managing the business. So that of course is well settled. This question is okay. Yes, Ankit. Anandji, in case you could read something which is relevant.
I'm just reading one Mr. Rajiv has asked. In case a home buyer has entered
See, your
into
voice is little low. I think you should be little
Okay.
closer.
Now
Yes.
is it better?
Much better now.
Yeah. So there is one question which says that in case a home buyer has entered into a settlement agreement with builder in NCLT and the checks are getting continuously dishonored with remarks stop payment, what is the solution?
So this is a very, very important question. One is the settlement. The other is the question of the RERA order. So in these questions, the one very, very important question is, once the settlement is done and the settlement is being dishonored by the builder, so definitely the allottee is a financial creditor and he can go and file a complaint. But in case the settlement is still under process and still the allottee goes to the NCLT, I think the NCLT has recently decided, I will just come to the next slide. NCLT has recently decided that once a settlement agreement has already been agreed, then the home buyer should wait and should not pursue the other options. And the CIRP was quashed in that manner, in that case. So the other part of the question, Anandji, was that which I took myself, like in case of RERA order or consumer court order, the court is now of the opinion that the person who is filing the CIRP application, that would be considered as a financial creditor but not allottee. So the modification in section 3 would not be applicable to this application. So the CIRP can be initiated even if this 10% condition is not fulfilled.
Correct. He can. I mean, anybody who is an awardee of a decree or a receiver certificate holder would be treated as an independent financial creditor, and he would not be hit by the ordinance of 28 December, which says, as a allottee, you have to have either 100 people or 10% of the total 10% of the total units sold population. So they can individually file as independent financial creditors.
So while we are now going, see Ankit, one or two more questions, and then at the end we'll take the question only.
So apart from this, one question I think which might be coming in very frequently is that what happens to a flat which has been allotted to somebody in lieu of some liability. So there can be a contractor who was working on a project and he has now been given a flat. He has not paid for that flat, but he says that I paid through the work that I have done for other flats.
So this is a case where we need to see whether this transaction falls under section 43 of the IBC, whether it becomes a preferential transaction, because by making an allotment to a supplier, we are actually giving that supplier a benefit, and we are upgrading him in the hierarchy of section 53, and we are converting that operational creditor into a financial creditor. See, although so far the law and the various orders of the court says that the home buyers are unsecured financial creditor, but we have filed a petition claiming that home buyers are secured financial creditors, and in our subsequent slides we would be taking up this matter in a very detailed manner, so that the entire professional fraternity should understand that the home buyers, how they are secured financial creditors. Although various orders in the court, they have been given priority over even beyond the secured creditors. Maybe in the case of Amarpali, which we handled as RP, or various other cases, the preference has been given to the settlement of home buyers before the any secured creditor has got any money. So that's clear as far as this. We'll come to the position of the home buyer as far as this part is concerned.
You can continue, and maybe you can continue, and then we will take more questions later.
See, okay, now so since now we have actually just to give you a recap, we have discussed about the present scenario, how this scenario has been done, what kind of errors has been done by the builders, and what are the options available with the builders, what are the options available with the home buyers, and what we want to ultimately conclude is that the insolvency and bankruptcy is the best option for both home buyers as well as for builders. So see, like, what is the process under the insolvency and bankruptcy law in brief? Because see, there are a lot of home buyers who are connected in this webinar, and there are a lot of builders who are connected in this webinar. So the very brief process is that first of all, the home buyers or any creditor or any operational creditors will file an application before NCLT for commencement of the insolvency process of the builder. So the NCLT will consider the claim, and we will consider the case, and in case the NCLT passes an order for commencement of CIRP, that means insolvency process for the builder company, that's called commencement of the insolvency proceeding, and in our language we call it corporate insolvency resolution process. Immediately moratorium starts, and the company gets protection from the creditors, from the court cases, from the enforcement, from the sale of assets. Except for the criminal offenses, the company gets moratorium from all all sides. Then the custody control of the company is taken by RP, including the bank account of the company would be under the control of the RP, so that no funds are diverted outside, and the promoters would only work with the RP for even the construction, for something which is actually to keep the company as a going concern. Every person will file their claim, including home buyers, including suppliers, including the bankers, including those bankers who have given the homes to, who have given the home loans. And then the committee would be constituted, where the home buyers also would be part of the committee. Then the information memorandum would be prepared in such case. Information memorandum in the real estate companies is very important. If the information memorandum is not correct, nobody would be able to prepare a resolution plan in the real estate companies. Eligibility criteria and the expression of interest would be invited from the market. Any builder can come and give a bid for taking over the company to complete the project. The builder, whosoever is interested, builder or any other company, whosoever is interested, they would give their offers to all the committee members, that all the creditors, that they would be doing this much for the, they would be doing this to the creditor, they would be how they are offering flats, how they are offering money, and everything would be mentioned in that resolution plan. That resolution plan would be considered in this committee of creditors, and then finally it will be voted by the home buyers and the other creditors. And if the resolution plan is approved by 66% voting share, that resolution plan will be submitted to the NCLT for final approval. So once the resolution plan is finally approved, the resolution applicant, the person who has submitted the resolution application, resolution plan, that person would be given the company to manage and to comply with all the offers made under the resolution plan. See, home buyers are financial creditors under IBC, as we have already seen, because the section 5(8) subclause F is very clear that the whatever amount they have given to the company, that would be considered as an advance for the purchase of property, and that advance is considered as a financial creditor. And the definition of the allotee and the real estate project would be taken from the RERA. That's what the clarification came. However, this clause 5(8)F is right from the beginning of the insolvency law. In the Pioneer Urban Land and Infrastructure Limited judgment, the Supreme Court has clarified very clearly that the home buyers are financial creditors, and there is no doubt about it. Now, what we are only trying to say that the home buyers are not only financial creditors, they are secured financial creditors. That we will attend slightly later. Now, the important part is that how we feel that the resolution would be achieved under Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. What we do in a real estate company. And this particular chart that I have prepared, it is only an illustration to make you understand that in a real estate company, how a resolution plan can be prepared and how the facts of the case can be disseminated to the builders so that they offer they make offers to the home buyers and to the other creditors, to the bankers. So first of all, whenever we take over a company as RP, we try to understand the liabilities of the real estate companies. The first liability that we consider is not the money received from the home buyers, claims received from the home buyers, but the first liability that we consider is what is the cost to complete the project. What is the estimated cost to complete the project? But this may not be possible in those cases where the project is not likely to be completed because of the legal hurdles, because of non-starter. So then in those cases, only the value of the land would be seen, and this process is only possible where the project had started, the licenses were given, 40–50% construction has already been completed, and then finally it got stuck up. See, we'll come to another scenario also where the construction could not start, or where the licenses were cancelled, or where nothing has actually happened in that particular case. So the first thing that we arrive at is the cost to complete. Then we calculate the claims received from the secured financial creditors or secured creditors, and also the details of assets given to them as a collateral security, primary security by the company. Claims from the workmen, claims from the land development agencies. The claims from the land development agencies like Noida Authority, Greater Noida Authority, or Huda, or see, these are the claims that we receive as an RP. Then we receive claims from the statutory authorities like all kind of tax authorities, local authorities. See, when we say local authorities, it also includes those companies like the kind of the departments which handle the construction. So Anandji, can you just say something about here? Anandji,
I just missed you.
think about this process that how we understand the liabilities, of each case.
Correct. So as it has been pointed here, we look at one of the most important would be look at cost to complete, because in any if a insolvency case has to be resolved, then what is more important is to understand how the resolution will happen, and all liabilities and assets will have to be looked at from that window, not only what is appearing in the balance sheet. So from that perspective, what is more important is to understand what are the key liabilities. The key liabilities majorly lies into only two buckets. One is what is being claimed from the company. One, that means there are stakeholders to whom the company owed money. There may be security against it, there may not be security against it, and the stage at which the project is, what is it is going to take to complete that project. Because any resolution in real estate scenario that we have experienced is the best solution is to complete the project. Because if we don't complete the project, the value that you'll realize from the assets, which is either only the leasehold rights of the land and the unfinished structure, that I may be tempted to say nobody gets nothing in that case. So from that perspective, it is extremely important to understand, because the best possible solution is to complete the project, and the cost to complete is a key ingredient. Then look at all the liabilities, and specifically to look at from land development agencies, because not only that, even if they don't make the claim, still one needs to make an assessment, because you'll have to go back to the same land development agencies to get your approvals, to get your subleases done, or get your registration of flats sold separately. Some places may have different, the land agency may be different, town and planning may be different, but most of the places, it is the same agency which gives you, either sells you or leases you land, as well as give you the permission. So from that perspective, looking at the liabilities in the two buckets is important.
Anandji, this is also very important. Anandji, one, that your voice is still very low. I think you should be very close to your computer, or I think even I am also not able to completely listen you, hear you.
Okay.
See, very important part that I have mentioned in this chart is the claim of the home buyers. As if for understanding the liabilities of a case, we are not taking that 300 crore into the total, because we have taken the 200 crore as the cost to complete the project in the total, because that's what is my liability. I'm not going to return 300 crore to home buyers in a case which is likely to be completed. And the last that I have not even taken that in a consideration, that the claim from the landowners in the case of joint development agreement may be 20% or 25% of the sellable area that has to be given, because one, that it will be an operational creditor, and that's something which is the last kind of a resort. I could have added here, but that's not important for completion of the project. So I would actually say that my total liabilities in this case is 410 crores. So if I understand the assets of the real estate company, my first asset, which I actually calculate by way of verification of the claims, verification of the builder buyer agreement, I come to finally conclude that this 150 crore is due from the home buyers who are already allottee and they have paid part money. And then I come to know, because I will also come to another scenario where I would actually try to share my experience, how we verify the claims, so that we are able to get this information, and that to a very, very close to actual figures. Unsold inventory that we need to arrive at, and unsold inventory with that present market value, net of marketing and administrative cost, that's also very important to arrive at. And these two information, part, the first one and the second one, these two informations are very important in the information memorandum, so that a person can submit a resolution plan. Any other revenue stream which maybe from clubhouse subscriptions, parking slots, commercial space, and any possibility of additional FAR, that also has to be factored in the assets of the real estate company. Then we can even see the assets of the other assets of the real estate companies, maybe that the amount invested in some other land, amount invested in some other projects, or advances given to some companies which are recoverable. So this also based on the recoverable assessment by the RP or by the valuers. Then value of other investment which can be realized, so 50. So what I've seen is that 430 is the total assets of the company, whereas my liabilities to complete the project, hand over the possession, to also to, because see, nothing can come from outside, it has to come from the assets of the company. So 410 is my liabilities, and my assets are 430. So I can actually complete the project without taking any additional money from the home buyers. However, there may be haircut that I would be giving to the landowners, where I was sharing a project because they are also a kind of partners with the real estate company. So although their claim is as an operational creditor, and in case the company has that kind of capacity to pay, then they would also get their total entitlement. Otherwise, they would be an operational creditor, and their claim can be considered as payable at last in case the company gets that kind of money. So assets are 430 and the liabilities are 410. So this project can be completed, and everyone would get the amount available with the company after the completion. So the scenario can be different when in case the liabilities are more and the assets are less. Then there is a possibility here that we are not able to pay anything to the workmen. There is a possibility that we are not able to pay anything to the land development agencies because they are also operational creditors. Then the statutory liabilities also would not be able to get anything. The suppliers would not be able to get anything. The landowners would not be able to get anything. So in case you see that this pending inventory in this case is just reduced from 200 to 100. Like this pending inventory, in case we reduce it from 200 to 100, then there is a deficit of say 70, 80 crores, 90 crores. Then all these the lower four or five lines can be eliminated because they are the last, except for the workman and employee. We can actually pay nil to the other parties, including the land development agencies, because they are also operational creditors. Although the Noida Authority and the Greater Noida Authority they are actually fighting in the court by tooth and nail, and they are like tooth and nail. See, because for them it is something which is do or die, because see, they have many projects like this where the land the builders have not paid their money, and now everyone is saying that the priority is home buyers, as in the case of Amrpali, and they would not get any of their balance amount. Now, how the resolutions can be found under IBC, that also depends on the liquidation value of the real estate company. So I'm only trying to explain you in brief. First, we arrive at the estimated assets of the company, liabilities of the company. Then we look at the liquidation value of the real estate company, which is calculated by the RP by appointing the IBBI approved valuers. Two valuers would be appointed, and they would be understanding the land, leasehold rights, developmental rights. They will value everything. If the land is there, they will value the land. If the leasehold rights are there with the company, then they would value the leasehold rights. And in case they would value the development rights, then they will value the development rights. Then they will do the valuation of other assets like investments or other receivables, except for the receivables of from the allottees. So these are the assets available, and the average of the two valuations would be called as a liquidation value. So when the liquidation value is calculated, for example, the liquidation value is 370 crores, then the resolution plan for such companies can easily be submitted by the builder. As I said, the RW or the association can also submit the resolution plans. The company would become an MSME. In some of the companies will become MSME, so they can submit a resolution plan. The resolution plan will offer homes and payment to the creditors and to the other claimants, and that resolution plan and that builder who will come from outside, or the promoters give a revised proposal to the home buyers, that would finally be approved by the NCLT. See how that would be approved, how the liquidation value would actually would be considered while accepting the resolution plan. Now the liquidation value in this case was 370, and in case since we had not considered the sold flats, as the asset of the company, so we would also not consider the amount recoverable from the home buyers as the asset. So the 370 is my liquidation value. So I would say that we are giving home buyers their home. So their claims, which is about 300 crore, that gets settled from the liquidation value. Then we are paying to secured creditors, and we are paying to land development agencies. So this way, we can submit a resolution plan to NCLT saying that our proposal, the resolution plan, is actually much more than the liquidation value, because this is the way the resolution applicant is contributing, and that resolution plan can get approved. So I think as far as this part is concerned, the next is very, very important, is the the secured, whether the home buyers are secured creditors or not. Would you like to take up this, or we should take up this in the next part, and we can actually go to the filing of the applications? Because this is a little technical part, whether the home buyers are secured creditors, and I'm not sure.
We should take the application part where some of these are explained, then we can look at that, in my opinion. That's a point of view.
That's a point of view that the home buyers are secured creditors, which is basically based on our research. And we have also filed an application which is pending for consideration of adjudicating authority. So the applications can be filed by, as I said, by any of the financial creditor or an operational creditor against any real estate company. The financial creditors can file application jointly. Now the condition that actually been imposed from 28th of July, 28th of December, 28th of December 2019, that at least 100 allottees or 10% of the total allottees, that should be they should all file the application jointly.
But this condition has been stayed.
Yeah, this condition has been stayed. Anand, I think this condition has been stayed. You can take up that part.
By Supreme Court, yeah. So that has been stayed in the case of investors of Karvi versus Union of India, where this particular ordinance was challenged, and Supreme Court has, for the time being, I think it was 16 June when they came out with the order, they have stayed this particular ordinance till the time they come out with a final judgment on the validity of the ordinance.
Yes, and I think also from 24th March, now this 1 lakh threshold limit has also been increased to 1 crore. So while filing the application, one has to see that at least there should be an application, there should be a total default of more than 1 crore after even the amendment is, after even this the Supreme Court order. What we are confident, because even we saw the order dated 16th of June 2020, and that order actually, like in case we see this order, I'm actually trying to read from the Association of Karvi Investors versus Union of India, and this order came on June 16th, 2020, and in this order, the Supreme Court has issued notice to center and extended the protection given to all petitions which were pending in all benches under Section 7, those who were not meeting 10% requirement. And it is written in that order that the Section 3 condition is very stringent and onerous. Bench asked to maintain status quo on all applications, and Section 3 amendment is violative of Article 14 of the Constitution. That's what is argued by the applicant. And what we understand is that as far as this, the order, the flow of the order of the Supreme Court is kind of such that we are hopeful that this modification would be turned down and would be considered as violative of Article 14 of the Constitution of India. And with that, the home buyers would have the liberty to file the application in case their claim or joint claim would be more than 1 crore. So that's the scenario coming for every home buyer, and that would be an opportunity open for everyone to file. So there are 3 scenarios. One, if an operational creditor, the operational creditor who supply goods or services can also file an application against a real estate company in case the total outstanding is more than 1 crore. Secondly, in case this is a home buyer Section 7 application, which is a financial creditor, the home buyers can jointly file an application where the total default amount would be more than 1 crore. And the third, the banks can also file the application because their outstanding amount would be more than 1 crore. So these are the options available for filing of application. And the fourth option is that in case there are people who have got the decree or an order from RERA or from any consumer court, and that amount will become a financial creditor, and that amount would not be considered as an allottee. So even if the Supreme Court upheld the amendment in Section 3, and section 10 stipulating 10% or 100 cases, that would not be applicable to all those cases where the decree has been obtained, because once a person gets a decree, then that person becomes a pure financial creditor and not allottee, because this condition of allottee is only the condition of 10% or 100 cases, that is only applicable to allottees and not to a financial creditor. To a financial creditor, today what is applicable is the total outstanding debt of more than 1 crore. So Anandji, these couple of judgments which you can actually briefly explain, this is regarding the applications.
Sure, I can. So the first case that we have on our screen is Akriti Agnihotri and another versus Blackberry Rear Con.
You can also be a little louder.
Okay, I think I have to keep my mic very near to my mouth.
Yeah.
So this is the appellants here were the original allottee who initially moved application for filing a matter of filing for start of insolvency proceeding. However, the adjudicating authority in this case adjourned the matter, saying that this is an allottee and we cannot admit the case before the Honorable Supreme Court gives its decision on the ordinance of 28. Now, based on this, the appellant went to NCLAT, and NCLAT held that there are a couple of things which needs to be determined, and for which it referred the matter back to the NCLT, saying first question that needed to be determined whether the application was filed as an independent financial creditor or as an allottee. And it clearly held that if it was filed as an independent financial creditor, then the adjudicating authority will not cite or wait for the decision of the Supreme Court. Only if it is decided that the application was filed as an allottee, in that case, the decision of the Supreme Court has to be waited for. Otherwise, the application needs to be admitted as an independent financial creditor and the insolvency proceeding should be started.
Absolutely.
So that was the first case. Let's move to the next case. Okay. The next case refers to Sanjeev Sharma versus Amir Jamal and another, held by, the judgment was held by NCLAT. This particular claim arises from the flat buyer agreement which was executed between the builder and the buyer in 2012 for a flat number 601 in a project called Gardenia Gateway in Noida. Now, and the allottee made the payment, total payment of 44 lakhs. As per the agreement terms, the corporate debtor was required to deliver the possession in 2014 December to the allottee, while the agreement which was entered in 2012. However, after inordinate delay also, it was not able to deliver. Instead, the corporate debtor or the company invoked the agreement and asked the allottee to pay interest. So it becomes quite an interesting situation where on one hand, the delivery has not been made and the corporate debtor or the company is invoking delayed payment and asking for this. When the facts were put to the adjudicating authority and NCLAT, it said that in this case, particular case, even though the agreement was signed in 12, but there was an order on 17 September 2013 by National Green Tribunal restraining all the projects which were within the 10-kilometer radius from Okla Bird Sanctuary, NCR areas, from any construction. And this has been held as a force majeure reason by the NCLAT. And it said, excluding that force majeure, because the delay was not due to the reasons perpetuated by the builder or the corporate debtor, then the period for that should not be included. And if the default has not happened, then he can't be held responsible, and then the application needs to be dismissed. So what it says in brief is that the existence of financial default of non-delivery of possession, it should be, if there is a default by the corporate debtor, then only it should be, admitted. Otherwise, it should not be. And also in between, in this case, the allottee has, before coming to NCLT or filing an application under IBC, the allottee had already approached to RERA, and he did not wait for RERA and enter into a settlement agreement also. So ultimately, NCLAT held that because of the force majeure, the company was not at default and asked the applicant to go and settle under the settlement agreement and wait for its settlement. The next case.
Thank you, Anandji. I think this particular case, like Pravesh Mago versus Irio Grace Realtech Private Limited, is also similar to what the earlier case of Sanjeev Sharma is, and it is absolutely similar. And it is saying that the adjudicating authority has the power to understand whether it was the default was because of the fault of corporate debtor or it was a force majeure. So it was also held in this case that there was no omission. And there was no omission from the corporate debtor, and it was all the force majeure events which led to the delayed possession. So this particular insolvency CIRP was also quashed. So Ankit, we are now,
I think we
left
can,
with a few minutes. We can actually 10-15 minutes. We can take the
we
questions.
can take a few questions. So one question that has come in is that when we talk about joint claim for 10, 100 home buyers and so on, so should the joint claim be above 1 crore or should individual claims be above 1 crore?
Joint claim should be above 1 crore.
Yeah, I think that's what I also.
Because 100 people have to file that together.
Now 100 even, like, see, like what I'm saying is, like, even if this particular amendment in section 3 or section 10, in case the Supreme Court turns it down and we move back to the same situation, then we will only be requiring 1 crore threshold limit. And for that threshold limit of 1 crore, we would need joint application in some cases where the claim is little less than 1 crore. So that's, yes, joint application is possible under section 7.
Then next, we have a question that this is from those people who have got their possession but who have not got the conveyance deed, or they have no document to say that they are now owners of the flats. What do they do in cases which have gone into CIRP?
We'll share with you our practical experiences. Well, first of all, I will give you one suggestion, one example where the possession has been given officially. The official possession, the possession deed is also registered, the agreement to sell is also registered, the stamp duty is paid, but since the bank is not giving the NOC, the bank is not giving the NOC for making registration of the title deed in favor of the buyer, that matter is pending. So in that case, the company, the corporate debtor, also booked the sale revenue in the books of account based on the section, I think 53 of the Transfer of Properties Act and the definition of transfer under the Income Tax Act. Based on these two scenarios, the builder booked the revenue and also the exited those flats from the inventory. in this case, now the books of corporate debtor doesn't have that liability because the liability is adjusted with the flat which has been given officially. In this case, the claim of the home buyer does not lie. The claim of the home buyer is not there because the only thing which the resolution applicant will have to do is just to transfer the title to home buyer, and that the resolution applicant would do in case there is a pending payment after taking the pending payment. Otherwise, there is no the claim of the home buyer has not been accepted. So whereas the possession has been given unauthorizedly, without even the occupation certificate, without even the completion certificate, and then in those cases, this possession is not a valid possession, and this is considered to be a kind of a trespassing, and this is not considered to be a valid transaction under section 53, which is by just giving the possession, entering into an agreement, and passing on the substantial consideration. That the three test has not been complied in this case. So the claims can be accepted, claims should be accepted by the RP from all those people who are actually having the possession, but that possession is illegal possession, unauthorized possession. So the claim should be accepted and those people should be part of the committee of creditors.
The next question is, what is our practical experience? Is NCLT going ahead with individual home buyer pleas for CIRP, or are they holding them till Supreme Court gives their verdict?
I think this the case of
Status quo.
status quo has already been ordered. Earlier also it was ordered and it has been reinforced on an order on 16th
one of our
June.
participants, Mr. Ranjan Chakrabarti, is asking that should I proceed? He says that my claim is more than a crore. It belongs to pre-25th period. Should I file my claim in the NCLT, or what should he do?
No, he can file the application, but that application will be kept in abeyance and it will be kind of adjourned sine die is a normal process as of now. Any application filed by a home buyer, if the application is otherwise valid, it will be adjourned sine die till the decision of the Supreme Court.
So basically, he said maybe he can wait till the Supreme Court gives a judgment and then file it. The next question coming is a lot of questions on liquidation. So what happens to the flats? What happens to the home buyers once the real estate companies goes into liquidation? What happens to the bank loan? What happens to the mortgage of the land, which might be with a bank or an NBFC? So all these questions are there.
Now, see, when this company goes into liquidation, the real estate company goes into liquidation. So it is a similar scenario when the when the other companies goes into liquidation. The only difficulty in such cases would be that the construction would be incomplete. So, however, any claim of the home buyers on the property would actually have the same status as the claim of the secured creditors on the mortgage properties, mortgaged assets of the corporate debtor. Even if we are saying that the home buyers are secured creditors, still all those claims would stay with the liquidator. Anyone who would buy the company would start afresh. Anyone who actually would buy the company would start afresh. He would take over the company without any obligation towards home buyers, without any obligation towards banks, without any obligation towards the land development agencies. He would buy the company and he can restart the construction. He can give an option to the home buyer that any home buyer who actually would like to continue with me, and they can continue. But the liquidation is not, in liquidation it is not mandatory that the home buyer should be offered the flats at the same old rate. In such cases, the buyer of the company can always say that I want the company without any liability, and the liquidator will have to give the company to him without any liability. That particular buyer will complete the construction and would actually try to resell it maybe to the existing buyers or maybe for the future buyers. So this is what is a liquidation. The liquidator will also recover any other money which is due from the associate concerns or any other money which is due from others, but not from the home buyers. The liquidator would not be able to recover any money from the home buyers, because their claim on the property is also vanished, and the claim of the money which is given along with the interest of 8%, that would be admitted. That would be admitted by the liquidator. So that is one reason that I'm saying that more and more home buyers, more and more associations of home buyers should file an application to adjudicating authority that home buyer is a secured financial creditor and is not an unsecured financial creditor. That is very, very important, because in case the home buyers are able to get an order that the home, which is there in the law, but no order has been passed so far. The law is very clear. I have complete research on this, but then the orders have not been passed so far. One application filed by us is pending. In case the home buyers are considered as secured financial creditors, so whatever money is realized from selling the company, including land and the construction, that would be distributed to the banks and to the home buyers in proportion to the outstanding debt. That's what is the liquidation process.
See, I have another question which has come from Mr. KV Prabhu. He's saying in one of the cases in Bangalore, builder ran away diverting funds and a competent authority, which is AC Bangalore, appointed under KPID Act in Karnataka. So the assets have been taken into possession of that, and NCLT proceedings have started. His question is whether RP will get possession of these properties from AC Bangalore. If
Yes,
so, under what section?
certainly, because see, the insolvency and bankruptcy under section 238, it basically overrides all other law.
Correct.
We have also taken the custody and control of various assets which has been taken over by the state governments under various other state laws, like Protection of Depositors Act, like Chit Fund Acts. So various other, wherever the properties has been taken over under various other laws, that even by PMLA, now the PMLA is also very clear, the criminal offenses are also very clear. Wherever the insolvency has started for any company, any kind of attachment, maybe against a civil liability, maybe against a criminal liability, and that should not be be a worry. Everything will be taken control and custody by the RP. RP will take, and all other officers appointed would not be able to hinder the CIRP process. Yes, please, Ankit. And is there, because see, like I think we can take few questions and then.
So I think a few questions that are coming in is like RERA, they say there is a recovery order against the directors. IBC, there is nothing against the directors. You're only allowed to give whatever the company has. So I think a little about.
I think I can develop on this particular question.
A little about what can be done under IBC against the promoters, because this is one of the pain areas that the promoter has run away or the promoter has taken money, and the home buyers normally want to pursue the possibility of recovering anything from the builder.
So what, see, maybe that you might have seen in many cases that the banks have filed complaints against the promoters and the CBI has raided and the CBI has taken the custody of the promoters. In many cases that we have seen, this has happened in our country. And that is under the RBI fraud circular. And under the IBC, the criminal process is presently going a little slow. The transactions under section 43, 45 doesn't have any criminal actions. The fraudulent transactions under section 66 definitely have a fraudulent, is called fraudulent transactions, and this is called a criminal offense under section 69. So whenever section 66 application is filed, similarly the application is also submitted to an IBBI. And there is a prosecution department in IBBI, and the prosecution department will start prosecution against the promoters. And that prosecution will go to special courts which were constituted under the Companies Act in 2016. There are about 30 special courts which are functioning in this country, and the IBBI's prosecution department will file that prosecution application in that special court. So this process is little slower than the economic offense wing of the state government, because whenever there is a complaint filed by the economic offense wing, I have seen only in few cases the promoters have been taken under custody of the state police. However, in most of the cases, the investigations continues for years. However, the promoters are not arrested. Investigations definitely are continuing. I find a bigger challenge in when the investigations are continuing and the promoters are also uh, in control and custody of the company. They are still siphoning off the money. They are still selling the flats to people in against substantial cash. So they are still diverting funds. As against a scenario where the IBC would start and the RP would be appointed and the bank accounts would be taken over by the committee of creditors, that would be a better scenario, better management of the whatever is left with the company, whatever assets are left with the company, so that resolution would be based on the assets of the company, and the focus would be that while we are resolving from whatever assets are left in the company, in the meantime, through the forensic audit, through the transactional audit, the promoters will also be booked. Whatever offense they have committed, they also would be booked. So this is a comparison between the because RERA doesn't have anything like a criminal offense. If it has, that is also not implemented so far in many cases. But whatever arrests have happened for the builders, that has happened under the economic offense wing under section 405 or under section 420 of the Indian Penal Code. And the custody period is not very large. Normally it is a very small custody period, and then the investigation continues. So I have not seen the builders suffering a lot because of this. Rather, the CBI investigation for bank frauds of more than 50 crores, that has seen a bigger action, and I have seen promoters behind the bar for more than 1 year, closer to 2 years, till the time the investigation goes on. I hope I have been able to explain how the promoters are also adversely impacted by losing their company and also by facing the criminal activities, criminal action by IBBI's prosecution department.
I think there are still 85 open questions. I have tried and I have punched in answers for 66 questions, but still 85 pending questions. So I think it is the nature. Some of these 85 questions might have been answered during today's discussion, but we perhaps need to perhaps have more. Maybe another session just for the questions, or maybe we can take some questions offline after this session. So what is the program? Do we need a session 2 for today's session?
No, certainly, because see the entire, in case we start with the Committee of Constitution, Information Memorandum, how to verify the claims. See, there are so many things that we need to discuss and share with our participants. And certainly we would have a part 2 of this, the insolvency of the real estate companies. And today we actually spent much more time on the present scenario, the options available with the builder, option available with the home buyer. Now we would actually, in the next part 2, that will be completely focused on the various activities under the insolvency and bankruptcy law, including the eligibility criteria, including the evaluation metrics, including the resolution plans. So those things would actually be completely discussed in part 2 of our webinar on insolvency of real estate companies. So with this, we conclude part 1 of this webinar, and again saying a great thanks to all the participants who stayed connected with us for more than 2 hours, and we expect and we ask them to join again on next Saturday at the same time at 6 p.m. So for the second part of this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.